In this first demonstration, this series of parts, I'm going to create a casting. So I'm going to create a new file. So I'm going to go into a specific directory. That's where we're going to create that. It's in this case in the jack screw folder. Then the design criteria part of that is this going to be done in millimeters. So using metric unit, I'm going to create a file name called casting. And then now I see that inside NX I have all these different tabs, window displays and all that. So that's, I'm getting familiar with each one of those, so I know later on as I navigate what navigator tab I'm going to be utilizing. I'm going to activate the sketch, and once I go into that, I have three options. I have top, front, and right. So in this case, I think I'll stay with the right view. That will give me the right proper orientation, but it doesn't matter later on when I add it into assembly. So I'm going to follow along this section file of or section profile of this particular casting. I'm just going to create a simple reference line. So what that does is that give me a specific height that I'm interested in. Somewhere around 185 is the overall height. When I type that in, NX is going to ask me if I want to scale everything. So I do, because what that does, that's going to get me into a ballpark of a design. And then I want to make that line as a reference because I don't need that anymore after that. So I'm going to grab onto that end line, and then somehow along the parallel area, a little maybe too far out, coming a little closer, I'm just going to come in and start just drawing a rough sketch of what this geometry will look like. So from here, using the profile method, I just connect all the kind of dots together where I think each one of those locations will be. And then from there, I want to come in, and then at the end, those two lines are not parallel to each other, so I'm going to extend that. I don't worry about anything that go beyond, so those two lines I can just trim it off. Once I trim it off, notice that NX create this shaded region for me. I want to start with the inside diameter. That's always a good place to start. I want to change that to 25 radius. I also want to change the outside throw area to somewhere to meet the criteria. So in this case, if I don't want to do the calculation, I'm just going to do an NX for me. So I divide it by 2, and then also I want this to be somewhere around 45 degrees. So once I do that, so 45 plus 90, that's 135, so that satisfied that, and I want to do the outside diameter. So outside diameter, so now I'm start seeing the profile of this start coming together. Length of that first length outside somewhere around 40, and then also have the other height that I'm interested in. So from that point to the flange on the bottom, so that has a value about value 125. So once I created that, I start seeing everything start coming together, and then all the alignments, everything's good. Also, I'm going to create a little step on the bottom. So once that is done, so a lot of times when I do this, it's always good to create an inside diameter first. So in this case, I'm going to do an undo. So I'm going to come back, grab on some additional inside diameter. That's going to help me control. So when a design update, I don't have to worry about stuff like that. So in this case, you notice when I do that, it's going to create. So I'm going to drag on the endpoint, just make that quick shift. Everything goes to the inside. Now the outside is done. Inside diameter is done. I got a couple more diameters I need to create. So here's one of them. Once I grab onto that, it's going to give me that of a distance also about at 50. So that is coming together, and then the last part of that is the height of this little cutout is going to be at 3 because it creates, and I'm not going to create the blend until later on with the geometry. So now I'm going to decrease the size of that dimension so it's not overwhelming my display. So now everything is coming together. One of the area that did not give me the dimension I don't think is critical, but nevertheless I am going to go in there and create a particular dimension that's the inside the neck. So I want to just kind of dragging along to see what value that may be. I'm just going to make that somewhat of a round number by looking at the view. That is one of the dimensions we're not specified. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Once again, I don't need the outside dimension. That was just for reference. And then I just want to drag it down some dimensions. And then once I'm comfortable with that, double checking with the drawing specifications that all the dimensions are in the right place, I'm going to finish that. So once I'm finished with that, NX is the sketch is active. So if you're going to do Revolve, automatically grabs onto that. So I'm going to get out of this and then come back in. I want to quickly talk a little about selection intent. So if I do a drop down, all these selection, I have all these variety of different options. If I go single curve, I have snap to object, and then what I do is I'll stop at anything. I can do a feature curve, highlights everything, or I can do what's called region boundary. This is just highlight anywhere inside, so it creates that boundary for me. And then now it creates a revolve. I can also grab onto handle to give me kind of visualizing what is taking place as I'm revolving this. So I really want to be precise. I want to go from 0 to 360, so now I have my geometry created. Now, sometimes I want to clean out my desktop. I don't need to see the sketch. I don't see the damn CSS. I can do Control W for hide and show, and then or I can go into the navigation and then remove that. The next thing I want to do is I want to create a blend. So NX does highlight all the edges for me. I want to be precise to be right on the inside. I have that corner. I want that to be at 3. So that gives me all the proper definition for this particular design of casting. And then I want to turn on the perspective to give me a better view of this, and then to be in isolation.